please don't forget it, because it's all part and parcel of preparing for the marriage. Now what we're going to do now, the Church's Understanding of Marriage, next slide, we change the slide. I've taught most of you that have been to see me know that there are three main elements, well, four. You know, I call them ingredients of Christian marriage. Those of you that have been to me know that's true. One, just to repeat those very basically today, one, you want to get married. What would be the point of being if you didn't want to get married? And actually you want to get married to the person you're sitting next to. You're not sitting next to the right person. That you actually want to get married. You want to. You're not being forced to, remember. As I say to you, one of you is pointing a gun at the other one and forcing you to get married, then that's not a real marriage. Clearly not. You've got to want to. And you've got to want to for the rest of your lives. So as I've said to many of you, on your 50th anniversary, you've got to go up to each other and say, I really am so glad that we married each other. And to buy each other presents every so often, to take each other out for romantic meals. You know, the wife pays 1 week and the husband pays the next week. But just to keep the romance and love alive. You know, don't let it die. Don't let that romantic streak of you die. You know, it's lovely. It's lovely when you see old people that have been married for years walking down the street hand in hand. Isn't that a lovely thing, just to see that? And just to love being together, that they wouldn't want to be with anybody else at all. And that's my hope for all of you, that in 50 years' time, you're holding each other's hands, walking down the street, and people are saying, oh, look, aren't they a marvellous example of everything? And at Mass this afternoon, two couples that have been married for 55 years will be present. It's a Mass for them. What a wonderful witness. And it's just coincided that today is the marriage preparation day, so you'll be at Mass. And then these two couples that have been married for 55 years together. I'm sure they have had a crossword between them over 55 years. It's almost impossible not to. But just to keep telling each other that you love one another, it's not a bad thing. That's the first ingredient, to want to get married because you love one another. Remember, the second one is that you're going to get married for life. You stand in front of the altar in church and you promise to commit yourself to one another for the rest of your lives. In the English marriage rite, it's until death do us part. You know, and you either believe that or you don't, as I say. There's no point in putting your fingers crossed behind your back. Until death do us part. And that's absolutely a crucial part of what the Christian marriage is about. And you know why? Have you got some handouts? No, you haven't got any handouts. I don't really need to give them out now. But you've got just a bit about what I'm saying again there, which you can read at home. And two passages from the Scriptures. One's from the prophet Hosea, and the other's from 1 Corinthians. Now, many of you will choose that passage from 1 Corinthians for your marriage. And it's St. Paul's hymn to love. Love is always patient and kind. It's never jealous. It's never boastful. It's never conceited. Love takes no offence of other people's sins, but delights in the truth. So I know it off by heart, because I can't remember how many marriages I've done, actually, over the 33 years that I've been a priest. But it will be hundreds now. And I hope that most of those are still happily married together. But you know, that hymn to love, which is a real description of what we're called to be. Love is always patient and kind, it's never jealous, it's never boastful. Love is always ready to excuse, to trust, to hope, and to endure whatever comes. Love never comes to an end. It's not just a description of what we're called to try and be, but it's a description of God, of course. So we commit ourselves to, you commit yourselves to one another, to show that God's love is the deepest possible love. So commitment is there because God has committed himself to us. And that's the most important part of the Christian teaching, actually, is that God loves us and loves the world and will always love us and will always love everybody, whatever's going on in our world. And And you commit yourselves to each other to share a bit, just a spark of God's eternal, never-ending love. And indeed, the church actually says that you as married people are a clearer sign than a priest of God's love for his people. And that's the reading from Hosea as well. It's a lovely reading from Hosea. I don't know whether you know the story of the prophet Hosea in the Old Testament. Hosea is told he's a good man, he's a good Jew. He's told by God to go and marry a prostitute. He said, "You can't marry a prostitute. I wouldn't touch a prostitute." God says, "Go and marry her." And they have 3 children. And then the prostitute eventually goes away from him and goes off with other men. And God says to Hosea again, it's an allegory. God says to Hosea, "Take your wife back." And Hosea says, "I can't take her back. That's against the law." But God said, "Take her back." And the point is that the prostitute stands for the people of Israel who constantly go away from the Lord. And they still go away. Hosea stands for the Lord himself, who constantly asks for his people to come back to him. So God is always committed to his people and never abandons them. So that commitment, as I say, a commitment for life. The third one, of course, as we've talked about, is family life. Always being open to, once you get married, remember, that day of your marriage, you create a new family. A new family is created. Most of you take on the name of the husband, don't you? Some of you might not. Some of you might keep your former name, those of you that... it's an interesting custom, isn't it, really, to take on one name together. But I suppose it shows your commitment to one another in a very stable and very real way. But that begins a family, and then of course openness to children is part of that openness to family life. So that's another part of what the church's vision of marriage always is. And the fourth thing, of course, as you know, is to be faithful to one another. Absolutely crucial. So to want to get married, to be romantic for the rest of your life, to be committed for the rest of your life, to love family life. And the family is such an important institution, as we know. It's so important for our life and for our world. And fourthly, that fidelity, that faithfulness to each other. Now that's something that, is part and parcel of what your married life has to be. Now the only other thing I just want to do this afternoon, is that clear so far? So very simply. Marriage, I'll just repeat what I've said. Marriage, you're getting married, is the highest form of the church's celebration. It's a sacrament. The church really believes that Jesus Christ, who died on the cross and rose from the dead, is actually present at your marriage. You're doing it in the presence of Jesus. We can't see him, but he's there with us, giving you strength and courage and life, that very special, what we call grace, which is a free gift from God to help you as you go through life. Don't miss out the religious, what we call the more religious aspects of your life together. Those practices like going to church, prayer, and reading the scriptures. And thirdly, those elements that you reflect in different ways, which I've just talked about family life, about romantic love, about commitment, and about faithfulness to each other. Now, all of those elements come together as though it were in the ceremony, which is the marriage ceremony. The marriage ceremony, as I've said to you before, many of you, is like the icing on the cake. It's important. People have wedding cakes that don't have icing on these days, don't they, as well? Like that couple. Who was that photograph you showed on your... that couple that are getting married in a month's time or so?
Prince.
Prince William, yes,
Yeah.
That's it. Yes, I've just forgotten that. I think he's going to have a rich tea biscuit. That's right. But icing on the cake. The icing is that, in the old days, to say this, the cake, would go off, but you put icing on and it actually seals it, doesn't it, and keeps it fresh. That's the point of having icing on it. But the cake is much more important than the icing, of course. Although as a little boy I used to just always eat the icing and the marzipan. Not eat the cake. But you are the cake, as though it were, to use that analogy, because that's the most important bit, the cake. The ceremony is the icing on the cake, but it's an important part of what the cake is. So the ceremony proclaims what you really believe about one another and about your relationship with one another. So the ceremony is the icing on the cake, but it brings together everything that you believe about marriage. And in front of your family and friends, you say, this is what we are doing, this is what we believe about each other. We believe in each other so much that we want to actually stand in front of you all and say that. Now, for some people, most people I think are a bit nervous on their wedding day. Do you think that's true? You don't know yet, do you? But I think most people are a bit nervous on their wedding day. But I always say to people, okay, that's human, but there's no need to be nervous. You might be, but there's no need to be nervous because you're with family and friends. Everybody's rooting for you. Everybody's supporting you. That's why they're there. But of course, you want a good day for your family and friends, and what helps to make us nervous, of course, is because you're wearing special clothes. Normally, you're not wearing some old jeans and a t-shirt, for all I know you might be. You're wearing special clothes, everybody's dressed up to the hilt, you're in church, everything's rather formal. All those situations make you feel rather nervous, don't they? And if you're not used to speaking in public, that's another reason why you might be nervous. I get everything muddled up. And as I say to everybody that's getting married at St. John's, don't worry, because I help you. I whisper the answers to you. I always say, I'm now going to ask you 3 questions, and the answer is I do. You first, and then you next. So there's no, you don't have to remember lots of things. I'm sure the priest in Poland and in Budapest will be as kind as wherever you're getting married, in Chippy and in Chipping Camden and wherever else you're going to get Bradford and all the other places you're going to get married. I hope the priests are going to be nice. They nearly always are, in my experience. Some of them shout, of course. What? You can't come into church looking like that. We're very relaxed at St. John's, and we allow photographs all over the place. The only place I don't like the photographers standing, of course, and I would say something, is when they stand on the altar. I did several weddings in Italy when I was a student in Rome for 8 years, preparing for the priesthood, and I was ordained actually in Rome, and then I stayed in Rome for another nearly 3 years, because I had to do some courses and everything. And I did quite a few weddings in Italy, and the photographers were, the worst I've ever known for drama. And they took over the whole of the wedding ceremony. So I'd look behind, and the photographer would be standing on the altar behind me. We don't do that kind of thing at St. John's. So as long as the wedding's photographs are discreet. But we are relaxed about that aspect. So some of you have already asked me, but I'm already telling you now. We're very relaxed at St. John's, so you can tell the photographer or the video person to do what they want. We try and hopefully, within all this formal ceremony, we still try and be as relaxed as possible because you are with family and friends. But just to make it a bit more real today, what we're going to do now is just a little rehearsal. So I'm going to choose 2 of you, just to do this rehearsal today.